I welcome Gilles Jobin, a choreographer I have been known for many, many years. He is working in Geneva. And I'm very pleased and I'm looking forward because he's going to present like a premiere, a world premiere within the next edition of the Steps Festival. The title is Forza Forte. And Gilles, you're going to tell us what we can looking for.
Okay. Well, Forza Forte is a duo, so it's a small piece in terms of size. It's the first duo I've been making. I did solos, I did trios, and 12 dancers, but I never worked on a duo, so it was a long time I wanted to make a duo. And also it's a piece that is quite different from my last piece, which is called Quantum, which is a piece I did after residency at CERN. It's with 6 dancers for big stages. So I wanted to get to work that was closer to me, that was easier to manage, easier to travel, and that I could also get involved physically and dance it myself. So that's why I wanted to do this duo, but there is still some connection with particle physics because already in the title, strong force Forza Forte means strong force in English, and the strong force is one of the fundamental forces of nature. And I used it as a reference to develop some movement that correspond to the rules of the strong force. Yeah.
And so this strong force, I think you explained it a little bit to me at another time. Could you repeat it again? What's the force it is?
Yes, well, the strong force.
It's relationship.
I mean, there is 4 forces, only 4 forces in nature. One is gravity, which is the only one that we feel. One is the weak force, which is responsible for atomic decay, which is complicated. Then there's electromagnetic force, which has to do with magnets and that binds things together. And the strong force is the one it's the interaction between the quarks, and the quarks is what's inside the atom. So it's really the smallest of the smallest, and it's also the strongest of all the forces. And it has these very counterintuitive rules. The gravity, for instance, if you have a big planet and something coming, the closest this object will come to the planet, the more it will feel the force of gravity. Strong force is the contrary. When the quarks are very close together, they are very fluid and they can really move very freely. But when they move away from each other, they become really, 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 really tense. And the force is so strong that you cannot break them apart. And if you could, then they would break apart and reconstitute out of the void. So I didn't know how to use this force when I was doing Quantum, and when I was thinking about the duo, that's when I realized that somehow you can make a similarity to what is a relation in a couple, because when you are really close together, things flows really well, and when you move apart from each other, things become more difficult. And if eventually you break out, then you probably will reconstitute another couple out of the void. So I thought that's a good, maybe that's one relation we can make with this force. But there's many different elements, I think, in the piece. In Forza Forte, there's also a different realities.
Are you playing with different virtuality in this?
There's different virtuality. Because we open the piece with is about a 10-minute duet, which is with the virtual images, but I pilot them myself live, so you can really see the body moving. So I'm moving all the time the position of the camera. Then we come on stage and we start to interact with each other. There's also one other element which I like very much, and also linked with the quarks and the strong force is one way to describe the quarks interaction is what they call chromodynamic. It's a very complex rules. I don't really understand it, but what they do, they use the analogy of the colors. So they use the 3 fundamental color, red, blue, and green, as an analogy, because when you mix the 3 colors, they become white, and there's many different, it's all the spectrum of light. So I use this to make the light of the piece. So the piece is all made with lights, they are on the floor, they all have this RGB logic. So if I put a 3 on you, then you will be totally white, but in the background, everything will be in color. and you probably will have, no, not probably, you will have different shadows. You will have like a green shadow and a red shadow and a blue shadow. So it's decomposing the image. So I thought that was quite adequate for this piece, because somehow it also creates a set around us, a very colorful set, even though we are colored in white, and we have these kind of small colorful shadows. So that's another analogy. So I think there's different layers of realities in the piece. And also maybe with the costumes.
What kind of costumes did you choose, and why?
Well, there is, we are dressed as cowboys. We have cowboy boots, cowboy hats, cowboy shirt, and jeans at the beginning. And there's some images of the desert, some cactus from Mexico. And this came out after a tour that we did in Mexico. We were in the desert, in this desert zone near Tijuana, and all this is really beautiful, by the way. Baja California is amazing, like huge cactuses. And there is this kind of, dress up as a cowboy is like a disguise, but is also an identity. It's a popular culture identity. It's been, the cowboy figure is not American anymore. It belongs to everybody. It belongs to South Americans, to Europeans, to Russians.
What does it mean for you, this cowboy symbol? Is it like
It's a borrowed identity.
Okay. Yeah.
It's very easy. It's like you become a cowboy instantly. You just put the cowboy hat, cowboy boots, and you're a cowboy. Okay. That's it. You don't need to know about cows. You don't need about nothing. You just need to wear the outfit, and you become one. Because in the States, but not only in the States, like also here in Swiss, Germany, in the countryside, you have a lot of people that like country music. They dress as cowboy. They have those kind of country music events, and they're from Canton de Vaud or Arga, and how, why do they have, how is it that they incorporate this culture as their own when they have really no relation with it? And I thought that's interesting. So my father was a painter, an abstract geometrical painter, but he was also very fascinated by the American Indians, but also this kind of Western ambience also. So it's probably something that I have. And yeah, I think it's really about, it's a borrowed identity. I don't know if there's a specific reason. It's a creation. So when you make a creation, you never know really. Like you have kind of impulse, intention, intuitions, and then it becomes. And maybe there's an idea behind, but you don't know if this idea is going to come out. And then it's sometimes from someone from the audience that goes like, yeah, I got it, and like, yeah, wow. The idea was there.
In your personal life, what relation do you have to relation? You are in a couple, you have children. So, because you were talking about this physicality of getting away from each other or being really smooth together. So is there any bridge or relationship between Forza Forte and your personal relation to a couple, or not at all? Is it like abstract or another perspective?
Not really. I don't think it's, it's not illustrative and it's not narrative. So it's more just general ideas. I think what I do is suggestive. So I suggest situation, I suggest ideas, and it's a spectator that will give the meaning. So maybe it's more the spectator that would relate to their own reality looking at this.
And to their own relation to relationship.
Yes, because then that it comes from them, and maybe it will mean something to some spectators and something else to others. I guide them into the idea. But, again, it's not... It's a piece that has this kind of psychedelic aspect to it. It's not very complicated, I think. It's
so would you say, because
it's contemplative, it's more about what you feel in the moment and what's left in your head, but is
so people, they don't have to be afraid to come to see this piece, because it's not too complicated to understand, because there's physics. It's just you can go to the theater.
And it's not very long. So even if you don't like it, you can. It's not going to last forever.
Okay. So you can just come open-hearted to the theater.
I think, yes,
led
It's not
you?
offensive. There's no nudity, no violence. You know, we dance properly. You know, I mean, I'm a little bit wasted, or you know, because of my age, but I do what I can. And yeah, no, I think it's a gentle piece. I think
It's a gentle piece, but you're going back on stage as a dancer.
Yes.
You just mentioned it, and I think this is great. I'm very much looking forward to it, honestly. And yeah, the piece is going to tour all over Switzerland, so we are looking forward.
which is amazing, by the way, and I thank you for that, because it's so rare that we get to tour so extensively in Switzerland. Is really one of the problems I think that we have in our federal system, that is so difficult to have a vision nationwide. And you know, I get the Swiss Grand Prix, so that's one aspect, to be known like nationally, and then there's this tour coming up afterward. So yeah, I'm hoping that things, you know, little by little, our dance will have more access to all the different regions. And Steps, in that sense, is very important,
Yeah.
because it's the only touring festival, really.
Well, we do hope that we can inspire all the theaters and other Swiss programmers to get back, because there used to be times where, like, the Swiss companies were touring all over Switzerland. Now it's Steps doing it, but maybe there is an inspiration.
It was different people.
Yeah.
People have changed.
Yes.
They're more modern now. They look to Berlin more than to Swiss romande.
But, you know, I'm sure you're going to convince the people that it's very worth to even look to Geneva or
yeah.
to look all over Switzerland, and we might inspire them. Thank
Hopefully.
you very much for this
Thank you,
discussion,
Isabella.
and toi 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 for the tour.